Greetings, welcome to Fargo FX. I noticed recently a couple of news items. It looks like there's been a pretty large run on, well, there's been a run on a lot of things. Famously, of course, toilet paper is sold out everywhere. But gun sales have gone way up. And I was considering that if gun sales went up, that could be people who already own guns and were buying more. But there's undoubtedly some people who are buying guns for the first time. Now, there's a whole lot that I could talk about on that topic. I've been a gun owner for many, many years of my life. But this is going to be a short video. I'm not going to go into a whole lot. But I did want to discuss safety. Just a couple of things about safety. And undoubtedly for many of you, maybe for most of you, this will be review. But for those of you who have not maybe had a safety course or were not ever given proper instruction in firearm safety, I thought I would spend just a little bit of time on it. This is not meant to be the end-all and be-all safety video, but there are a couple of tips that I have found very much useful in my years of owning guns, shooting guns. I've been involved in a lot of different shooting sports, hunting sports, especially when I was younger. And so there's some things, there's just some safety rules that are just completely universal and everyone should follow them. And a couple of these might surprise you. They might not. Like I said, a lot of you are probably very much familiar with these, so it will be review for many of you. But then again, one or two of you may be new, and I want to make sure that we're all kind of on the same page with regard to safety. So the number one rule is always treat any firearm as if it is loaded. Always. And I'll show you what I mean. So I pull this magazine out. I can look in the magazine. There are no bullets in the magazine. I still treat this gun as if it is loaded. It could certainly still have one in the chamber. If I was to pull the trigger and there was a bullet in the chamber, this gun would go off. Without the magazine in, it would go off and it could hurt someone. So the next thing I will do is I will open up the slide. I'll open up the bolt. Might be a little bit hard to do in a tight space, but you can see in there. Once you have visually inspected and you can see that there is no magazine in the gun and that there are no bullets in the chamber, okay? Now, I just saw with my own eyes, and if I was very thorough, I might actually reach in there and feel with my own finger and see that it's not a loaded gun. However, I still treat this gun as if it's loaded, okay? There are people, and maybe there's a little bit of controversy about that. There may be some people who say, look, it's just a tool, it's a machine. If you know how it works, then you know when you've made it safe. Many people would look at this and say it is safe. Well, what I'll say about that is if I absolutely had to pull the trigger now, if I pointed the gun in a safe direction, then I could, and I will actually demonstrate, point the gun in a safe direction and pull the trigger. Now, keep in mind I have checked multiple times to be sure there is no bullet in the chamber, okay? And there's no bullet in the magazine. And I happen to know before I started this video that I took every last bit of ammo that was anywhere in the vicinity of this gun and put it in another room behind a door. So there is no ammo anywhere in the room, okay? So I know that this gun is entirely safe. But I'm still going to treat it as a loaded gun, which means I'm going to point it in a safe direction, meaning a direction where I know that no one is there. In this case, I'm going to point it down. Okay, this is a wood table. If it did happen to fire a bullet, it would go through the wood table, it would go through our floor. Fortunately, it was an unloaded gun, and we did not have a negligent discharge. Okay. Now, I'm not recommending that you do that. I'm recommending that you always treat a gun as if it is loaded. And that means you never, ever, under any circumstance, allow the barrel of the gun to be pointed anywhere near anything you don't intend to kill. So, also keep in mind that depending on what type of gun you may own, this happens to be a 9mm, very popular style of gun, but depending on what type of gun you own, a bullet may go through, could easily go through this table, through the floor, and out through a wall, okay? Bullets do not just stop because they run into an obstacle. Okay, so always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Typically, that will mean point it in a direction that you know no one is in that direction. Okay, and like I said, even with the magazine out, this gun will still shoot. There is a such thing as a type of firearm that has some type of an interlock mechanism that will prevent the gun from firing. Once you've taken the magazine out, never, never under any circumstance take that for granted. Never. In fact, I prefer not to own those kinds of firearms because I don't consider that to be a safety feature. I actually consider it to be, it's a way of shortcutting safety training is what it looks like to me, and it's potentially dangerous because if somebody has a gun that works that way and they think that that's how all guns operate, they're in for a nasty surprise, a very nasty surprise sometime when they're maybe out with some friends or they have a different type of gun and they discover that yes, most guns will go off even with the magazine out. In fact, if you wanted to, you could have a gun like this one and you'd never have to load a magazine into it. You could load the bullets one by one and shoot them, and there is no safety mechanism that'll keep it from going off just because the magazine is out of the gun. So with the magazine in the gun, consider it loaded and ready to shoot. With the magazine out of the gun, consider it loaded and ready to shoot because there can definitely be a bullet in that chamber. You press that trigger, that gun's going to go bang, and that bullet's going to leave the barrel. So I guess that's what I wanted to cover today. I might do a little bit more on shooting in general, especially knowing that probably some of you may be getting into shooting for the first time. Welcome aboard, by the way, if you are getting into shooting for the first time. I think it can be, well, for me, it's been a very fun part of my life. Shooting sports are tremendous fun, but it is, guns are dangerous. There's no question about it. They can be deadly, and they have to be treated with enormous respect. And then finally, the last thing I'll say is if you are under the age where you are legal to be in possession of a gun, if you're not old enough to be in possession of a gun, anytime you see a gun or even think you see a gun, maybe it's not a real gun, you don't necessarily know, don't take any chances. Don't touch that gun. Find an adult and tell them, hey, I saw something, I think it's a gun. An adult that you trust, okay? Find them and say, hey, I saw something, I think it's a gun. You need to come with me and check this out. Because it's very important, and this may never come up. I mean, I've never found a gun laying around someplace. But I know that has happened. So don't take any chances. You know, if you are underage, even as an adult, if I saw a gun laying somewhere, I wouldn't go near it. I'd probably call the police and say, hey, look, there's a gun laying out here. I got my eyes on it right now. And I think somebody should come out here and, investigate what the deal is here. Because a gun is worth money, and people don't just leave them laying around for no reason. So those would kind of be my main points. If you're new to guns, definitely, if you ever see one someplace, don't touch it, don't pick it up. Get somebody that you trust and tell them what's going on. And then two, if you happen to have recently bought a gun or you're using a gun, always, 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 that gun is loaded. Treat it like it is loaded, and treat it like anything you point it at, that you could actually destroy that thing. Because a gun is dangerous. If you treat a gun that way, if you treat a gun with respect, and you learn all of the different safety rules, there's a lot more to safety than what I just shared here. If you learn all the safety rules, guns can be a lot of fun. They really, really can. Think of it like a car. There's a ton of safety rules for cars, but cars can be a lot of fun, or a motorcycle, or even a bicycle. There's a lot of safety rules. There's a lot of things you have to learn to be safe on a bike, but it's a lot of fun. So again, if you're a new gun owner, welcome. I think that you, especially if you get just a little bit of help from somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody you trust, especially if you can get some training, I think you're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to find that guns aren't so scary. But do keep in mind that along with many other things we have in our life, there's a potential for danger there. So that's all I have to say for today. Thank you for watching the show. There's lots more content to come. And until next time, let me just say, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, have a wonderful time. And we'll see you in the next video.